When a person is forced to do something against their will, they have two options: do nothing or simply act. An 86-year-old woman didn't expect her children and grandchildren to do something so terrible. However, she decided to teach them a lesson for life. This is a story that has never been told before, and I think even the hardest heart cannot bear the sadness of knowing what happened there. It all happened in Argentina, some time ago. Sofia Rodriguez had a lonely life in recent years. However, it wasn't always like that. She was born in a small town in the south of the country and, as an only child, received all the attention from her parents. She got married at 30 and had her first child shortly after. Her other daughter, Sofia, followed soon. She loved being a mother and enjoyed being with them. They were her greatest joy, along with her husband. But time passed and they grew up. The woman wanted the best for her children, and, you see, she came from a good family, landowners. Her father owned several fields, and her mother worked at home. Having only one daughter, the man taught her to continue with the business because they wanted to leave everything to her. And it was finally after losing her parents that she inherited all the assets. She had good savings, a lot of land, and, most importantly, the house where she grew up. Sofia's children grew up soon, and each decided to start their own family. Despite this, she continued to support them, and more time passed. Now Sofia will be 86 years old. Unfortunately, the children and grandchildren stopped visiting her. The last time she saw them was when her husband died, who passed away after a terrible discovery. You will see that he trusted his children and allowed them to manage the business he had with his wife, but they did not know how to manage it well and led it to bankruptcy. They even made the mistake of not paying their 3 installments, and not only that, they also did not pay taxes, causing very large debts. And due to the strong pressure, the man could not resist. Sofia received a threat that all her assets would be confiscated, so she had no choice but to pay. She was forced to sell several plots of land and was left only with her house. The children simply stopped visiting her, and she did not understand why she was not angry with them. For her idea, she understood that in life the most important thing is health and the company of loved ones, not material things. Her birthday came, she could still move, walk, and even cook. Maybe her children and grandchildren would come. She couldn't even remember the last time they spent a day together. But she had faith that they would visit her. In fact, in recent years, she was always waiting for them. But they did not come. Now, she was making a delicious meal and even her own cake. Although it was her day, she made it thinking of sharing that moment with her loved ones. The table was almost ready when, suddenly, she heard the door slam. Is it them? It's still early. Sofia rushed to open the door. And when she did, her face lit up with joy. Children, grandchildren, they all arrived. "Hi, Mom," one of them said. The older woman couldn't believe it. They were finally there. Fortunately, she woke up very early to make dinner, and now all that was left was to invite them to the table to celebrate with the family. The children came in, arrived on time. Suddenly, she remembered they had nothing to drink. So she asked them to wait inside while she went to buy drinks. The nearest store was a kilometer away. Normally, one of her children or grandchildren would have brought something to share, offered to buy, but there was no interest, and they didn't even seem so happy with Mother's Day. Until the daughter commented, "Mom, there's no time for that. Get dressed, we're leaving the house." The elderly woman was pensive and stunned. "But where are we going all of a sudden?" She shed some tears of emotion. Her children took her somewhere special, and it would undoubtedly be a great detail. But suddenly, her son commented, "Mom, get ready. There's no time to lose." "But what about the cake I made?" "Grandma, you must get ready. We have to leave the house right now," said the granddaughter. Soon the elderly woman realized something. "Maybe they didn't come for my birthday." "Birthday?" said the son, asking in amazement. "Yes, today she turns 86. Today is her day, but none of them congratulated her. And they just told me she should leave," said the daughter. And suddenly the daughter asked her brother, "What time did they tell me they would arrive?" "Tomorrow morning." The elderly woman seemed confused. Who would come? This was strange. She couldn't understand what was going on, but it was clear they didn't come to stay with her. When they saw the 12-meter cake, one of the grandchildren started cutting it to feed everyone else. They didn't even wait to sing happy birthday to her. "Mom, the house is going to be sold now. Pack your things and let's go there." And as you will see, a few years ago, the mother gave her house to her 2 children. Each would receive half, to avoid problems between them. The woman assured her that only after her death they would have it, but that remained in words. It was never written in the inheritance. And now she knew she couldn't do anything about it. However, she thought maybe she would live with one of her children. What joy there is in sharing with them was not bad. After all, the most important thing was to be with them. And maybe it's time to leave. The son commented, "We have to start packing." However, when they finished things, Sophia said they should pack and nothing else. Isn't that what the ad is for? She watched in pain as her valuable memories were thrown away. She practically saw how her life was thrown into the trash. It was strange. It was as if her heart had been ripped out. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't express herself. Suddenly, she started asking them not to sell anything, that everything was fine there. However, her daughter exclaimed, "Mom, you'll be fine. You're also alone here, and the house is big, and we need the money. Do you want us to end up on the street? We have to pay for the apartment." The woman listened, and she thought it would be better this way. "Mom will be with them. You will only take your clothes, what is necessary, your artifacts, and everything else will be sold. It is time for you to come with us." The woman felt that this was not the plan for her birthday, but going with them made her happy. However, upon arriving at the place, she realized that was not the case. She was shocked to enter a nursing home with people she didn't know, and with people who are there to be forgotten or who are simply a burden to their families. Perhaps due to the great disappointment and shame they felt, she dared not say anything. Soon she was taken to her room. All this time she thought she would be with her children, and now she was lying in an unknown place. They quickly signed the papers and agreed that her attention would go to the establishment as payment for maintenance. "Well, Mom, we say goodbye now. Congratulations on your birthday," said children and grandchildren. But Sofia Rodriguez saw how her husband left her first, suffering for them. And now how is it possible for them to do this to her, take away a place that saw her grow up and that her parents left her? She was always a mother and grandmother who tried. She didn't understand. While one of the employees was filling out the paperwork, she realized that the lady was having a birthday. Quickly, she alerted the others, and they organized a small party for her. Sophia couldn't help but feel emotion. Now she was with strangers, and they treated her with such attention. Of course, it wasn't the place where she planned to celebrate, but what can be done? Soon she looked at more people her age. Most seemed to have had a life like hers, abandoned. She never thought they would take her there, not to occupy space in the house that used to be hers, and now she is seen as a burden, one more mouth. And it was easy to realize that. She rarely received visits from anyone, and as for life, it wasn't so much fun. Just a few TVs to watch, and an old radio was playing all the time. Of course, the conditions were not good. A month later, after the place was being decorated to celebrate Mother's Day, Sophia was alone in her room. Although she knew some elderly people, like Moises, who sang to Christina every morning and who said that the children would come soon, but they never came. And Paula, who suffered from Alzheimer's and didn't even remember who she was going to see. Sophia couldn't be happy. The place was crowded, people who hadn't even lost their lives, but are already forgotten. At least Sophia could remember who she was, although it was better not to know that her family left her there. On Mother's Day, Sophia saw some young people enter. They were volunteers participating in events to make people happy. The elderly woman watched as they danced and others performed disguised. It was clear that they only came to shed a little light in that darkness. Sophia still hoped her children would come. They knew they were invited, but time passed and she didn't see them. Suddenly, one of them called her to dance and then asked why such a beautiful lady was so dull. Everyone was cheerful, but she still wasn't used to it. "There's no reason to be happy anymore, young man. How can we do this if our children don't even come for this day?" "I don't know how the others got used to it," she said. The young man didn't know what to say and continued dancing. Her words sounded very sad, although she apparently wanted to be fine. The young people soon left. However, Emilio, the young man who invited her to dance, asked one of the staff, "Is this the first time I've seen that lady? When did she arrive?" "Dona Sofia was brought a month ago. She's the only one who seems very sad. Apparently, she is not yet resigned to the fact that her children brought her here. The worst part is that it was on her birthday. Right here we organized a little party for her, but you can see she's not happy," said the employee. Emilio returned a week later to visit her. "Miss Sophia, I brought something to eat here. There's a fruit and some sweets. I hope you don't mind, he said. Well, you can share it with your friends, all right? The woman was very surprised. And that's when the boy commented, you know, this reminds me of my grandmother. My parents abandoned me and she raised me. Unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable with my story. No, son, it's all right. It's the first time someone has come to visit me, she said, tears welling up. And your good family, ma'am, they're very busy. And there they both talked. The elderly woman learned that the young man has a son and a wife who works as a writer for a local newspaper and volunteers in her spare time, helping everyone, bringing small donations and joy. He certainly was a good man. When they said goodbye, the woman thanked him for the visit. It meant a lot to her. The next day, upon their reunion, Sophia shared a bit more about her life and how her children left her there. She understood today's situation where young people only think of themselves. Indeed, they wouldn't want their children to send them to a nursing home to spend the last years of their lives and take advantage of them afterward, discarding them as if they were disposable. Somehow, he found out the number of one of her sons and called. Good morning, I'm a volunteer at the house where Mrs. Sophia is. I was calling because it would be good if someone came to visit her. She needs it, he said. Excuse me, but we're paying for the nursing home, you have to understand. We're very busy, the son said, and hung up the phone. Emilio didn't understand why they were so cold to a woman who gave them life. Try as he might, no one came to see her. One day he visited her again. He wanted to invite her for a walk in the park. She accepted, as she didn't walk much. Suddenly, she appeared in an elegant dress, a beautiful hat, and high heels. The young man took her by the arm, and they went for a walk. She spoke about how it used to be, the music, the people she liked the most, and dressing elegantly. She also talked about her parents, Emilio, and she became very good friends. Every week, he came to see her. Donna Sofia confessed that she wished he were her grandson. Emilio just smiled. Why do you only get close to me and not the others? The woman asked. Ma'am, they've accepted your reality. Somehow, they've strengthened that broken and abandoned heart. But you haven't? I wish I could help. Besides, you remind me a lot of my grandmother, he said. The woman hugged him tight and told him about her children. I raised them and gave them everything a mother would want to give. I also took care of my grandchildren. Along with my husband, we paid for their university. We wanted everyone to receive us equally, support us. We were paying for their apartments, but when he died, everything changed. We had a financial problem. I couldn't help anymore. And since they were already adults, I thought they could fend for themselves. As for my grandchildren, apparently, they didn't want to make an effort. In fact, they stopped seeing me when they saw that I wasn't helping them. So, they sold my house, split the money. I thought they would take me to live with them, but look at me, I'm here. How can you throw away someone who helped and took care of you? Said Sophia, wiping her tears. Emilio just felt her, listened to her silently. He had a lump in his throat. The elderly woman asked, What's your dream, young man? He replied, I wanted my son to walk. We stopped the treatment because there was no more money to finish it. Why didn't you tell me this? Said the woman. Let me help you. The young man didn't understand what she meant, but when she arrived at the nursing home, she rummaged through her things and took out a small bag. There was a note and a key with an address, and she placed them in Emilio's hands. There you will find a small barn. Nobody knows. It's the only thing I didn't sell and belonged to my parents. Inside, you will find a box, and you will take it with you. He said goodbye, giving a hug to Grandma. Sophia asked him not to come back and stay with the family. The next day, after work, he went to the specified address, far from the city, in a small barn. There, he found a mysterious box. Surely, that's what the woman was referring to. It was dusty. It was obvious that it had been stored away for many years. The young man picked it up. It was heavy, and he took it home. He didn't open it. At home, his wife definitely thought it was rubbish, and she started to complain. She didn't understand what was so special about the box. Emilio decided to avoid it, so he took it to the basement and began to open it. There, he realized something was missing well before he noticed that there were memories inside. But what he saw next made him tremble. He couldn't believe it. There were several jewels and gold bars. Crying, he went to his wife and hugged her. She didn't know why he was acting like that, but when she found out what happened, She was surprised, and the two had a new hope that the son would walk. The young man ran and immediately towards the old woman. He had to see her there no matter how many times she told him not to visit her. He was going anyway. He thought of taking her out of the nursing home, buying a house or an apartment for her to live in. But when he arrived, they informed him that Sophia had passed away, and the relatives were informed, but no one showed up. Emilio left, sat on a bench, and cried. Why didn't she sell it to have a better life? But as Sophia said, it was for a special occasion, and that occasion had arrived. The next day his son underwent surgery, and there was a good chance he would walk, and as a writer, he decided to share an article for the local newspaper. There he told much of Sophia's life and the story of how he met her. Soon it reached the hands of his children, who now, without money and with more debts, couldn't believe what they saw. They read that their own mother gave the most valuable thing to a stranger, but they didn't know that that stranger made her happy in the last moment of her life. Unfortunately, this is a story that represents today's society. Many prefer to leave the elderly aside, ignore them, or put them in a nursing home to wait for the end. A sad reality. Don't you know that an older person suffers too? I hope this video has served you well. Don't forget to give us a like, leave a comment, and share. Thank you very much for watching us. By the way, I invite you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, activate the notification bell to receive the latest stories, and until next time.